to our more formal part of the evening, I would like to acknowledge our Chancellor, Michelle Johnson. Our presidents, Marty Cavalusi and Denise Yoakum. And we have two Board of Trustees with us, Angie Rorty and Steve Smith. I would also like if former distinguished faculty, well, you're still distinguished, but people who were honored in previous years, could you please stand up? And the foundation also provides an award to our distinguished faculty. So Kurt and Leslie, would you come up? And Brian.
Well, I was very honored to not only represent past recipients of this award, but I'm also representing the foundation. And Brian and I go back to when he was first starting to work here, and I happened to be chairing a cluster, a long time ago.
Decades.
I happened to be chairing a cluster that was connected to class, if you remember those days. And I have to say that for something that would be a laborious type of thing to go through, course outlines, etc., Brian helped to make our cluster fun. And that's one thing that Brian will always help us do in his being part, and I don't want to steal any of Michael's thunder, but being part of a digital design. As some of you may or may not know, my son is one of the recipients of our Pierce College Distinguished Alums, and he's a special effects supervisor. Brian has been following his career, and
I read his blog all the dang time.
and they blog all the time, and he and Todd has had the honor of being a guest lecturer in our digital design classes. So
Yeah, twice.
it really does, connect that. So it is with great honor and great pride that we, on behalf of the foundation, present this nice little check on behalf of the foundation to Brian Martin, Distinguished Faculty 2017.
So the drinks are on you, Brian.
I don't have a hat.
I just want to say that Brian can make anybody look good because I had to make some videos for a project, and Brian was so gracious to help me do it. And when I saw those videos, I'm going, wow, is that what I really look like? I was like... So Michael Darcher is going to be introducing Brian and telling us a little bit about him. So Michael, do you want to come on up?
Thanks. Oh, you may need that. Hi, most of you know me. I'm Mike Darcher. Up until June, I had a job here teaching English. Yeah. And because it's been a while since I've had the luxury of being able to lecture captive audiences, I've made a few notes, if it's okay. It all began way.
Darcher, I'd say this is for your good, but this is for our good. So, no. Sorry.
stop the clock. It's not that the previous recipients of the Distinguished Faculty Award weren't worthy, but boy, has this been long overdue. This is, yeah. Hi, Cheryl. What is this, your 6th time you've been nominated? Something like that. We used to kid about that. He's the Susan Lucci of faculty. Got a closet full of maid of honor dresses. And I probably shouldn't say this, but I did tell the selection committee that I wasn't going to retire until Brian was actually selected as distinguished faculty. And they said, "You would quit if?" And the next thing you know, so I'll leave it up to you. I can't take credit for everything. And one thing I can't take credit for is the swag that the union, the PCFT, was that a Village People song? Has provided for you. Some of these you can open if you like, some of these you can't. I would advise opening the bottle of tequila. Save it. See how the speech goes. What else too? Oh, there's a bomb shelter size of tees, golfing tees, and that way you don't never have to waste our time looking 2 minutes for the tee that you just lost. This might be a little selfish on my part. Yeah, what else did we get you? Oh yeah, I owe you at least a couple canisters of soap bubbles that we've used for graduation. So there's some of those in there. And I can't make a joke out of the last thing, but there were these kind of finger rockets, and I was just at the dime store, and they look kind of cool. So I'll let you apply the meaning for those. But anyway. Oh, and Trump wants to get rid of unions. The educators are given 3 primary functions. And there's the teaching, there's the committee and the extracurricular, and there's also the mentoring. With some of us, it was more tormentoring. But this is Brian's 35th year teaching and 19th year at Pierce. And on past occasions when I query students as to what they thought about Brian, inevitably they said the same couple things. Number one is, he really knows his guano. In the past, I advised Brian, I took a page out of Steve Jake's book that in English, it's great, that just teach dead writers and poets and you'll never have to do any prep. But in Brian's field, obviously being technology driven, it evolves and changes, and he has to prep every single course, every single quarter to stay abreast of his field. I can't imagine the work, and Brian puts in the work. The other thing students say is that, and these are words a lot of educators love to hear, that he's tough but fair. He demands a lot from his students, and he gets them. I can recall a time when I was called on the carpet by a former vice president, whose name I won't mention. This is when there was yet another budget-cutting pogrom occurring, And she was concerned about the low graduation rate among digital design students. This was when I was still my brief reign as division, Arts and Humanities Division Chair. And as politely but as firmly as I could let her know, I did that there was a reason for this. And that is Brian was providing these people skills that they didn't actually need the degree because they were landing positions. They were going to work thanks to Brian. We've hired 8 of them ourselves. Eric Salad, Brenda McKinney, Amy Foster Biddingly, Terry Kendall, Ann Woodruff, Candy Nelson, Darlene Paulson, of course, Renee Phoenix. Brian educates. His students find positions. Concerning the extracurricular, Brian is the boy who can't say no. Beyond the expectations of committee work and all that, Brian does a lot of pro bono work as well. Certainly his work with Pierce TV. Not many people know that he's been the tech advisor for many years for the Washington Community and Colleges Humanities Association. He designed and erected and maintains their website. Also, and personally, he's been just a huge driving force behind SLAM, the Student Literary and Arts magazine. I was often referred to as the SLAM guy, but that's not true. At least it wasn't true when it came to the layout, the design, the editing. I was more like the tech bird sitting on the rhinoceros's shoulder as Brian was doing most of the heavy lifting. And thank God somebody could lift all that. Concerning advising, presently Brian advises 83 students officially, though I'm sure there's a score more that know who to come to for advice. Coincidentally, 83 is the number of students I was assigned to advise my last decade at Pierce. And I don't think a single editing session went by where Brian and I were inputting SLAM, where at least one student, and generally more, didn't come by the office and interrupt, and to Brian's mind, gladly interrupt, to seek his advice, and sometimes just a hobnob. I mean, Brian was just one of those educators that made himself and liked to be accessible to students. That covers the professional. Then there's the personal side of Brian. One thing that amazes me about Brian is how varied his pastimes are. He's very much into garage sales, which I find unforgivably odd. He golfs, and I find that unflinchingly heroic. He's also been known to occasionally throw a golf club, not in anger, but in frustration. And generally the golf club goes longer than the mishit ball. As you're about to find out, Brian plays in a band. But he's also an unflinching fan of pop music. He has an impressive collection of bootlegs, of outtakes, I probably shouldn't say that, studio sessions. He knows more about pop music than anybody I know. He might be one of 6 people still living on the planet that can name the studio musicians who comprise the Archies. I'm not sure the musicians could name the other band members.
I don't know the bass player.
There's time. This past year, I attended a robust tribute at PLU to a retired theater professor who'd passed away that year. And former colleagues and students came out of the woodwork to sing Bill's praises. And I knew I liked Bill, but after about 20 minutes, I found myself becoming a little bit irked. Does anybody other than English professors or writers use the word irk? And it wasn't because they were effusive in singing Bill's praises. Heck, they're theater people. They like to talk. But rather, what bothered me was that the one person that should have been present to receive all these accolades wasn't. And it occurred to me, in that regard, Brian, I'm glad you and I lived to see this day. Moments like these in a person's life, I think, where you get publicly lauded by your peers for your accomplishments, for your expertise, for your bonhomie, heck, for your just your humanity, don't occur nearly often enough. No, these are the good times. So bask, dude. Because tonight it is all about you. Brian Martin.
So while we're killing time for Brian to get his guitar out, Brian actually was my son's advisor, who graduated here a few years ago. He is a professional photographer now, thanks to the tutelage of Mr. Martin. He's known my son since pretty much the day he was born. So when I had to try to figure out how to get my son into a digital design class that he wanted to take, I looked up who the advisor was and I said, oh my God. So I made a phone call and he goes, little Mikey? Yeah, so Michael thankfully redeemed himself and was a good student and did his job. And he's a full-time photographer now, thanks to this dude over here.
One of the things about my speech is going to be on technology. And I thought I need to say a few things that come to mind. And oftentimes, music is the easy way for me to do it. Those of you that know me know I like to write music a lot. Okay. At any given time, there will be 1 or 2 new songs on my phone a day. And sometimes those ideas come to fruition, sometimes they don't. And this song was one of those ones where it's like, okay, it fits. And sorry, Dave. So, I don't know, we're gonna kick it off with the song. And then I'll talk, I promise, okay? You guys ready? Mm-hmm. Okay, they don't start, I start. Well, technology keeps flowing, it's a well-looped up machine. It's left and right and centric, and from the cloud it sings. It's very fit but bloated when it comes around the bend. And I'm not entirely sure what comes out the other end. Well, it's like an old addiction, something has to score. It's very new and shiny behind most every door. Well, I know it's good, but it feels so bad that it's true. And got my head up in the cloud with those ever-changing technology blues. Well, I used to play the big leagues, I'd keep up every day. Now I can't get off the on-ramp and it's hard to see which way. Well, research, prep, and distill is hard to see, a full-time job in itself. And I can hardly keep that bottle full right up there on the shelf. Well, to read and watch an intake as much as I can score, and everything's so cheap now, and I just want some more. Well, having 24 flash drives is kind of so bad, but it's true. And I got my head up in the clouds with those ever-changing technology blues. Guys. Well, it's not about computers, this tech is everywhere. It's in the food we eat each day, and God knows what's in there. There's microwaves and Wi-Fi's and spy satellites on the sun. There's so much that we don't trust, that's why Orwell's #1. It's all in my world and it's all within my hands. It's in my tablet that I wrote the song with a 99-cent app. But all the damn in-app purchases, they keep popping up soon. I got my head up in the clouds with those ever-changing technology. Well, this song had many verses, it was 18 minutes long. It was like In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida, but without the drum solo, sorry. Then my connection froze and I lost the whole damn thing. And what you're hearing now is backup #3. Well, I don't remember having issues when I was plugged into the wall. Life might not have been as fun, but at least I could make a call. But I thank the Bills and Pauls and Steves and Bobs and Thomases and Sue. I got my head up in the clouds with those ever-changing technology too. I got my head up in the clouds with those ever-changing technology balloons. Thanks to my bandmates. This is Gary on drums, Tim Monahan on bass, and Jed on guitar. Dave? Click. So there actually are a few more verses, and I did lose a bunch when I wrote, mostly because I was dictating into my phone. I don't know if you ever dictate into your phone, but I've dictated into my phone, and then all of a sudden I thought I was catching all this stuff, and I looked down at my phone, and my phone just says, nope. Okay, let me crank this, let's see, escape button, log in. There?
Nope.
Nope. Okay, it doesn't really have to be up there. Dark shirt? Okay, so one of the things that people don't know about me is I don't like talking in public. I don't really like being, I don't mind being in an audience. I really thank the guys in the band for coming out because without them, that would have been a lot more nervous. So I wrote everything down. So you're going to see me reading a lot. And my apologies for those who go like, we showed up and all I did was read. The answer is yes. Okay? That's that bass drum over there. And I was going to wear those shoes. I don't know what happened, but anyway. So first of all, welcome everybody. My name is Brian. And I'm going to be your tour guide for the next 33 and a half minutes, okay? By the way, that's a lie. And no, I don't work for the media. My hope is that I'm going to work for 33 and a half minutes, okay? Most of the time because I wrote this speech, but I've been known to go off script. In fact, you could probably describe my life as going off script. Although sometimes I prefer it going off the rails, or building my own path, or making my own road. And that's a key for me. And that's not an excuse of saying I can't stay on the script. Look, I just read the line that says that's not an excuse of saying I can't stay on the script. Okay? But it really leads me to let you know that I'll be talking about technology today. And I want to point out that technology itself never stays on a script. You know, there are things that we know now that we would have never thought of a few years ago. And I'll bring that up a little bit. You know, but I want to point out that when it comes to staying on the script, my initial thoughts is that I want to be profound. I want to be philosophical. And that's not in here anywhere. You know. But I really do love technology. That's the thing. And I'm going to talk about my Yellow Brick Road because it's one of those things when I'm going to be talking about my history with tech. So when I talk about this, let's just, you know, there's some amazing things that have shown up over the past few decades. Now, there's some things that haven't shown up over the past few decades. I'm still waiting for my damn hoverboard, and not the kind on the wheels, okay? I want the one that actually floats, anti-gravitational device, 5 inches off the ground. Beth, you the science department, okay? Katie, chemistry, no? Come on, anti-gravitational, Ted? We're working on it. Hoverboard. Okay. Oh, by the way, when you do finally make one, make sure it runs 250 pounds, okay? 255 pounds. Oh wait, I had 2 beers. 256 and a half pounds, okay. So technology for me is sine qua non, which is an essential experience in life. I can't live without tech. It's just one of those things. It's in every cell in my body, especially these fat ones. They got fatter, courtesy of the moose drool. Thanks, Kurt. Yeah, he's hiding there. Okay, anyway. In fact, for, you know, most of us techies, it's not a choice. You know, those of us that get addicted, it's just something that just becomes ingrained into ourselves. It's not whether we have the capacity to indulge in a never-ending edification or whether we want the lucidity of a specific moment. It's about that drive to engorge our mind. And to engorge our mind with a constant flow of knowledge, to glut every damn thing we can get our hand on. And once we get saturated and the endorphins have run its course, technology people rinse and repeat it again. Simple as that. There's little or no room in our life for the routine. If you're interested in tech, there's no room for boredom. There's no room to retire to a Barco lounger. Even if it's a Barco lounger that's strapped to a tow dolly, getting towed behind a motorhome. With a fairing so you don't get the bugs in your teeth. Okay? And 4 bars of Wi-Fi. Gotta have at least 4 bars of Wi-Fi. You just can't download anything with 1 or 2 bars. Now I'm not saying though that tech people, you know, I mean, we're not 24/7. We do shut down. It's a necessity. Our days are just like everybody else's day. You know, hour 13, hour 14, hour 15, we shut down, except for advising week for me. It's hour 16 or hour 17. Monday I did have 8 in-person advising sessions that ran between 15 and 45 minutes long. It was a long day, but the beer that night was so good. Okay. And personally, I can tell you when shutdowns happen. I mean, it's part of life. You know, I've exhausted my mental state of clarity, and things just, you know, just get all blah. And I know, turn off the computer and walk away from it. And I know what this feels because I personally have sat through an actual full meeting of the Learning Council. I wrote that joke for this side. Because I love all of you. You know that. Okay? Seriously. Okay? I could hang out on the Puyallup campus, I would, but they don't have my labs over there. But you know, in technology, by the way, when we shut down, we call it a core dump. And for me, I redirect. I redirect to music. I redirect to video games. I binge watch something. There's some great TV on nowadays. Okay, and sometimes I redirect to read. The problem with reading, though, is that I sometimes will get to a certain point and then I usually stop. I've tried 4 times to get through Infinite Jest by David Foster Wallace. 4 times. I get up to about the point where there's a video phone section, about page 150, and then I fall asleep. And then the next day rolls around and there's a video game to play. Okay? Or my VR, okay, it's just one of those things. It's just like, you know, I swear, I will finish that book sometime, even if I have to get strapped to the back of a damn Barco lounger on a tow dolly. So this is going to be about my journey along technology's yellow brick road, specifically my journey down technology's yellow brick road. Every life begins with an origin story, and that's what you're going to hear first. This is my origin story. And while I'm going to be stealing lines from other things, because I, like all teachers that have anything to do with pop culture, we steal lines. That's what we do. One of those things is one of my lines I'm going to tell you is that for me personally, what a long, strange trip it's been. Great, I can't even steal the Grateful Dead's line correctly. With my long, strange trip with technology, I can tell you the exact time, down to the month, when technology first touched my bones. And it's January 1971. Okay, I was born in 1960. I'm 10 years old, getting ready to turn 11 years old. And it goes like this. I was about 10 years old. I was in the 5th grade at Harvard Elementary. And it's right about the halfway point in the school year. And I joined the band, like a lot of classmates. You want to join the band. Number one, if you join the band, you get out of class. Okay, that was fun. And the reason I joined the band is because I wanted to be a drummer. Okay, these drums that are here, which, by the way, you guys are more than welcome to beat on it when we do another song at the end. If you don't want to play, that's okay. If you just want to steal some drumsticks and take them home, that's okay too. Because I got a check that paid for most of the drumsticks. So the thing is that when I joined the band, I wanted to be a drummer. And the director goes, okay, great, you can be a drummer, but all 5th graders have to play bells. Okay? When you're a 5th grader, you had to play bells. Only the 6th graders got to play drums. And so I thought, okay, I could put up with bells for a little bit. And I didn't know why. I didn't know why the rule was. When you're in 5th grade, you can't complain because you don't know if it's some weird little Gestapo tactic that they're using to separate out whatever. But I figured that as long as I got to hit something and make some noise, I'm happy. Bells were okay by me. In fact, I even wrote my very first song on the bells in 5th grade. And I remember it because I played it for the girl I wrote it for. And that's when I also found out for the very first time that when you play a girl a song, if she doesn't like you, she's not going to like the song. That's what I call the harsh toke of reality rule. And that's Cheech and Chong, right? Harsh toke of reality, there you go. Okay, so the thing is that I can't tell you how many people were playing bells in the band. I don't know. But I can tell you that one time after band, the director pulled me aside, and I remember certain things, but I couldn't pick the director out of a lineup if I had to. If I got called and said, "Can you pick out your director from 5th and 6th grade?" The answer is nope. I can tell you that he goes, "We got too many bell players. I need you to play a different instrument." And I go, "Sure, okay. I want to play the saxophone." And he goes, "Great, we're going to start you on clarinet next week." And I remember going, "I want to play the saxophone." And he goes, "Awesome, we're going to start you on clarinet." And I go, "And when do I get to play saxophone?" "After you get good on clarinet." And I'm thinking, whoa, why did he say that? Of course, I didn't realize there were already 3 sax players in the band. Okay, so I didn't get to play sax until high school, jazz band. It was a long ways away. But I can tell you that on that day, when we returned my bells to Lakewood Music, that's okay, it'll turn back on eventually. When we returned those bells to Lakewood Music is when my life changed, at least when technology changed. Because while we were returning the bells, and Mom was signing up to get a clarinet, I saw something in the music store. And if it doesn't shut down, maybe? Yeah. I saw this. Okay, let me just point out to you that this is what changed my life. In January of 1971, when my mom took me to a music store, I saw this keyboard. This is a Mini Moog. Okay, now by the way, I didn't know for years it was a Mini Moog. Back when I was a kid, I thought it was a Moog. Okay, but you thought it was Moog, and Bob Moog, the guy that even said it, he says, "I don't mind if Americans call me Moog." Okay, I was from a Harvard Elementary that was very white. And we didn't have anybody from different cultures at my school at all, and so I didn't even know how to pronounce anybody else's name. If it wasn't Smith, we had one Czechoslovakian family, Bizak, and that was it. Okay, yeah, the Bizak is now been my best friend for like 50 years. So, but you know, the thing is that what excited me about this thing was it had knobs and buttons and switches. And when you're 11 years old, and there are things with knobs and buttons and switches, and you can press a button and it'll make a noise like this. You get impressed. And when you take one of those knobs and you turn it a little bit, it goes. And to this day, I still make that noise. I also make another noise. Ah. Okay? Both sounds. Sorry. They all came from this. Okay? Oh, wait a sec. Looks good from that side too, doesn't it? You know, the thing is that a Moog synthesizer, if you don't know about it, it's got this thing called oscillators. And the cool thing about the oscillators is the oscillators are bigger knobs than the rest of them. And so you can do everything from a sound of a flute to a heartbeat. And that thump 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 was just awesome. And I remember every little thing about playing with that instrument. I even remember right up until the guy from the music store goes, "Get away from the keyboard, kid!" You remember that. I mean, I was raised Catholic, so I remember certain things about getting in trouble, and that is one of them. Just one of those pieces. And I remember walking around the store, and Mom wasn't done yet filling out whatever papers, because in those days it took a long time to rent an instrument. You had to sign your life away in triplicate and show proof of everything, and I think Mom was in the back room dropping off some positive O blood, I don't know. But I remember walking around and then finding out that, okay, I can play this more, I'll just turn the volume down a little bit. And that was the fun part of life. And you know, the good part about actually playing clarinet is this. Clarinets use reeds. Reeds break. And when reeds break, Mom has to take you back to the music store. And for several months, I broke reeds regularly. And I only wanted one reed at a time, okay? And I just waited till Mom went to the grocery store, because there used to be a grocery store in Lakewood. I don't remember if it was Goner's Lakewood Music or Lakewood Music. Can't remember that. But I do remember walking in one time, and all of a sudden the Moog was gone. It was like, oh, man. Depressed, let down, but let's fast forward, okay? I'm in junior high school. I'm writing for the newspaper. There is a band that's going to be playing at my junior high, Ford Junior High. The band's called Chinook, and they were a local band, and I volunteered to do a story on them before they showed up. And the reason I volunteered is because I knew their studio was downtown, and I wanted to go see a recording studio. And so I got on the bus, and I went downtown, and I hung out the recording studio, and I walked in the door, and guess what the first thing I see is? A mini Moog. And it was awesome. And the band wasn't there, but the manager was there, and I do the interview with him, and I don't remember what the interview was. And I remember not getting published, because there was, apparently, the team won some sports title, and so they needed to, delegate some, and so, my story got pushed away. And I didn't mind, because I got to see a Moog. And I remember telling my story to the manager of Chinook. And he goes, "Don't touch the keyboard, kid." On the plus side, he did give me a stack of 45s, and I kept those. By the way, those of you that are younger, a 45 is I didn't bring a picture because I thought you wouldn't recognize it. It's a small version of a record, only played one song, okay? And but if you had a family that had a good stereo, you could put a stack of 45s on your turntable and they would play automatically, okay? I don't know if that's like technology, but by the way, 45 stands for 45 revolutions per minute, RPM, that's the speed. Not that you need to know that, okay? But also with early stereos, they all had knobs, EQ, baby. That's right. So fast forward a little bit more. My Yellow Brick Road brought me to the world of garage sailing. I know that there was no way in hell that I was ever going to afford one of those babies. In fact, I got to make it go away because then it started drooling. There we go. And, when it comes to garage sailing, as a teenager, there's no way I'm ever going to afford one. They're $1,495. Okay? That's how much they were. I knew that. I remember the price tag. And I double-checked it by looking it up on the internet because God bless Google. Okay? Or Bing, or whoever you use. And I knew that. But this comes to one of the people that are here. I would like to point out to everybody that my Uncle Sam and my Aunt Jo are sitting in the front next to my mom, Tony, my wife Cheryl, my brother Mike, my mom's friend Karen. We're all friends. My Uncle Sam, he was not a crack dealer, but he got me into garage sailing, which is almost the same thing. Okay, and I can tell you I got addicted to it. And why? Why? Well, because I was a paper boy, and the amount of money that I got from that paper route let me buy toys. And I always bought anything that was a guitar pedal, an amplifier. I can tell you that I bought my first amplifier from a member of the Wailers. They were a band that was, in 1959, had a top 40 song. They were on American Bandstand, and one of the members of the Wailers lived within bike riding distance of my house. I can also tell you that when I bought my second guitar amplifier, I was getting a magazine called Electronic, and in that magazine it said, if you change the transformer on your amplifier, you can make it louder, and I did it. Okay, don't ever change a transformer on an amplifier, because when you do that, it will get really loud, and then it will make the sound of a moog. Moog. I know, I still say moog. Yeah, it will only make that sound once. Yeah, and then you are done. And when I bought my third amp, I did not tweak it at all. It stayed the same. And because of garage sailing, I got to play with a lot of technology. I brought home a thing called a Leslie speaker one time. If you don't know what a Leslie speaker is, it's a very large cabinet that has a speaker in it and an amplifier all built in, and it has a rotating, it's kind of a scoop, but I don't remember exactly but I know it was kind of cool because at that time I was into the Beatles and George Harrison always played through one, and so we're like, wah, 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 and I'm thinking, this is so awesome, and I got one at a garage sale for like $20. To get it home, on the other hand, was a pain, because I wasn't driving at the time, I was still a teenager. I remember hauling home in the little blue wagon that we used to have, and that was a long way home. I also remember when I got it home, I tore it apart to see how it worked. And then I put it back together. And I put it back together okay, because I'm mechanically inclined. I've built a large number of things in my life, a number of decks, house additions, things like that. I have no issue with wood or cement or anything like that. But then I tried to modify it. And I was really happy that my dad didn't have garbage service. He went to the dump once a month, because I was able to dispose of the carcass of this things, So I did, Anyway, I'm going to fast forward because that gives me some bad memories. No, literally, my life was filled with a lot of, discarded carcasses and burnout capacitors, because that's what I did. So anyway, fast forward a few more decades, I joined a hair band. And when I say I joined a hair band, because I got into all sorts I got into synthesizers and samplers and pianos and organs, oh my. I even had 2 keyboards that I built myself. I actually bought printed circuit boards on one and put all the parts together, and another one I built the printed circuit board myself with acid etching and put it together, and it made some serious noise, and that one actually almost got me arrested because, or at least a ticket. I was living in Spokane at the time, and it was a synthesizer, and it made noise. And I'm thinking to myself, ooh, let's see how loud it'll get. I took my guitar amplifier and I put it out on the back deck, and I made that thing go loud. And it was really loud. And the next thing you hear is bam, bam, bam on the front door. And the neighbor goes, I'm calling the cops on you if you don't shut up the noise. Okay, when you're 19 years old and you're living in Spokane and you're thinking to yourself, there's some marijuana in this house. Not my marijuana. We don't want the cops called. So luckily, it's just kind of one of those things. And I will point out that I actually eventually did buy a Moog synthesizer a couple of years ago. I bought it from Craigslist for $1,500, the exact same price that they were brand new. It was cool. The weird thing though, I don't know if anybody's ever bought anything from Craigslist. The guy made me go through an interview process. I'm literally on the phone, and he's like, okay, tell me a little bit about what you're planning on doing with this. Okay, and he was, I thought he was from Jersey. I get there, he's from Jersey. Okay, he's living in a $850,000 house from Jersey, and he's a nice guy, but he's like, he wanted background. He wanted to make sure that I wasn't buying it to turn it around. He wanted to make sure that I didn't want to tell him that I was like, I really wanted one as a kid, and I finally got some money because I taught an extra class, and we all know what moonlighting does. When we teach an extra class, we get some cash, okay? Yeah, so you know, in my world, why does, by the way, sometimes the wife wonders where I'm at, and I'm downstairs in the basement playing with knobs and buttons and switches, and, well, that sounded wrong. Mode, knobs and buttons and switches. So, you know, why does technology, why does this yellow brick road exist for me? I'm going to actually shift gears right now, and I'm going to talk to you about something that is academic. And it's only a page and a half. But actually it's, oh, and no, it's not, okay, that's 3, hold on, wait a sec, 4, hairband, oh, yeah, 3.5 pages. So one of the things with teaching in the field of technology is that we have to be aware of how our students are learning. And sometimes that awareness is asking them questions, sometimes that awareness is seeing what their projects look like, sometimes that awareness is, you know, just knowing if your lesson went well or not. But there's a term in the world of technology, and it comes straight out of psychology, and that term is flow. The term of flow is positive psychology. It's a term that was coined by a gentleman named Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. And I got because of working here, I got the ability to meet him in person one time at a conference about 5 years ago. He was speaking to a small group of people. And it wasn't the matter what he said, because all he did was he talked about the positive psychology of flow, and I'll tell you what that is in a moment. But getting to meet this guy was just the coolest dang thing, because he's in his 80s, and he is one of those people that if you've ever met somebody that has been on point for their entire life, they said, this is what I believe in, and this is what I'm doing. And getting to meet that person that has been on point since the 70s, just awesome. So, a little bit about flow. So the positive psychology that we're talking about is, I'm just going to give you like the 5-minute version, okay? Because if I talk too long, yeah, put some of you to sleep. In short, flow is when a person is in their optimal state of being. It's when somebody's at the top of their game. It's when the person has achieved the perfect state of performance when challenged with something that matches their abilities, okay? You can call it in the groove. You can call it, you know, somebody that's you know, at a level where they're getting a seriously intrinsic reward. Technology that works can take a person to that level. Technology that doesn't work can destroy and disenchant massively. And it's kind of like our phone system at work when it first got rolled out. What? I got 3 more comments about the phone system coming up. Okay? And you should have saw the stuff that I edited out. We've already talked about that. We talked about that last year in your office. I laughed about that for like 3 weeks later. I can't share that with you because most of the time was some of the bad words that show up about transcription errors. Back to me. So you know, when it comes to flow, one of the damages that can happen as a teacher is you get a student with boredom and apathy, and you get a challenge that's too low for somebody's skills. And I used to see it often. I used to teach high school. I spent like high school from '82 till '98, and I saw apathy and boredom because the challenges didn't match. And when you're in a high school curriculum and when you're teaching high school, you got 5 classes to teach, and it's a churn and burn. You don't have the time to talk to a student or find out very much about them, let alone alter a lesson plan. It just doesn't happen. Here, on the other hand, it's awesome. Now, opposite from boredom and apathy is sometimes if the challenge is too high. One of the things in technology you have to be careful about is challenging somebody too much. I like pushing the envelope a little bit, and some of my students whine about it, Amber. And I actually listen to them. But the thing is that if you push too high and the challenge is too hard, you get anxiety. Don't worry, it'll be fine. Okay, and anxiety is something you have to counter. And I see that in class. And the goal of technology is to create a tool that'll challenge the user, but get them past the level of anxiety to the state of arousal and control. And that's what flow is: getting somebody past the level of anxiety and getting them into the groove. And that's a key thing, and that's a video game creators always strive for that, because as soon as you get a video player hooked, they're going to buy the next version and the next version and the next version game. And in my field, as soon as a student sees what a tool or technique can go for it, and they accept that challenge, sometimes the sky's really the limit. I am amazed at what I see that comes through my student network drive. And even when you got someone that doesn't like one thing, they will challenge accepted on the next item. And there'll be pieces that they just, and David Scott knows this from the art classes, that they will just take this to a whole different level. And then sometimes the next assignment comes in and goes, I had a tough weekend. I had to babysit, and there wasn't any beer in the house. Okay. The thing is that not every student gets there. Some just get past the controls, and some just worry if they can do it or not, and they'll never get to an optimal level. And sometimes it's the nature of the students. We all know that we got students. They got kids, they drive, they got so many things going on, they can't dedicate the time to get past the hurdles. They can't get up to the level of flow because they can't get past whatever life is showing in front of them. And the thing is that I think part of my job is to just try and keep them on the path. I believe that true creativity comes when a person has achieved a state of flow. I'm not talking about being creative. I'm talking about creating something valuable. And that's a big difference between just being creative and creating at a level of, you got this piece that is amazing. And whether it's a painting or an invention or a song or even a 600-page literary dissertation on the history of the fart jokes. Told you it was coming. Okay, that was it. And seriously, did you think I was going to talk all night and not inject some lowbrow humor? If you didn't know that, you don't know me. And hey, look, if David Foster Wallace can talk about the bullshittiness of being, then I can eventually toss in a few okay? And that's the only F-bomb I'm going to drop. Spock's honor. Okay? Okay. Anyway, by the way, I also never want to compare, I would never compare myself to David Foster Wallace. He's like one of my favorite writers. I have all his short stories and everything like that. And I do want to mention one thing, though. I did quote him. And so let's talk about what he thinks about technology. Before he passed, he had an interview, and he comes up with a line that says, because technology and economic logic has gotten so sophisticated, we're under more of a moral obligation to try very, very hard to develop compassion and mercy and empathy. And that leads to my teaching philosophy. I'm a firm believer that what really matters is the path to our destination. It doesn't matter how you spin it with whatever years of circumlocution and education that comes around all the time. What really matters is that we get people on the right path. And we might not get them all to a state of flow, but if we can get them started on that path and get them in the direction, maybe sometime after they leave us, they'll get there. Now, one thing you will never hear from me is this. You will never hear me say we want to get our students across the finish line. The finish line is a lie. In technology, there's no such thing as a finish line. If someone says, I just got to get to the finish line on this project, really? Okay, no, I'm sorry. There's no finish line, just like there's no crying in baseball. If there was an actual finish line, somebody may have crossed it, and I'd have my damn hoverboard. Ted? No finish line. Okay. Anyway, that was more of my teaching philosophy and less about technology, Yellow Brick Road. But I'm retiring next year, and so this is my last sip of my last post-tenure goals, and no more cover sheets with my TPS reports. Okay? And, okay, the plan is to retire next year, but who knows what number 4 is going to do. If he takes the money and runs, I'm going to work a little longer. But if I got to work a little longer, I'm just pulling out the damn whiteout, okay? I'm going to take all the forms I did, I'm going to wipe them out. By the way, those of you in the younger generation, the whiteout is code for Photoshop. Okay. Anyway, and like Darcher said, this is my 35th year teaching, and I just want to share something with you. I share it with a few people. I've always looked at teaching as my day job. Okay, I grew up in a household where my dad was active duty military and retired military, 42 years between the Army and civil service, working one door down when he left. And there's a 4-year gap when it was 4 years, right, Mom? Okay, so he got out of the military, 4 years doing some other things, and came back to civil service, one door down where he used to work at when he was active duty. We always give him a bad time. But we loved, we grew up getting on Saturdays, getting to go out and play with the tanks. Okay, it was one of those fun little things. So the thing is that my dad always had a second job because he loved rebuilding cars. My Uncle Sam here, just to show you a quick little story. Sam is working on a car, and he calls my dad and asks a question, and Dad goes, "Well, hold a sec. Can you hold the phone up to the engine?" My Uncle Sam holds the phone up to the engine, gets back on, and my dad tells him, he told him what was wrong, right? Yes, that's a true story. And so my dad always had a second job. So when I say I've always looked at education as my day job, I've always had a second job. I was in a hair band in the 80s. Yes, I used Aquanet. Yes, I put the Aquanet on my hair like this. Wait for it. You waited till it was dry. And the thing about Aquanet, it's just simply canned glue. Now they call it Super 77, and you pay a little bit more for it at Michael's, but pretty much that's Aquanet. And I played in a cover band at Ponder's Corners for 4 years in the 80s, and it was fun. But the thing is that was when I got to play with keyboards and samplers and stuff like that. But bands end eventually time. Our band is morphed. We have a different drummer. And there's been, it's great. Gary loved you joined the band, which is awesome. And things do. And so my band ended. And when my band ended, I was starting to get into video. And so I started a video production company. And I got a couple of jobs doing commercials because I had friends that knew things. And I did commercials for Friedlander Jewelers. I did a commercial for the Seattle AIDS Society. I did a commercial for Northwest Harvest. And sometimes I work for free. I did a commercial for the Sexual Assault Center, Pierce County, and you work for free because you go like, oh no, you're not paying me. Okay, this is something good, and that's what I did. That led me to working Saturdays at KTZZ TV in Seattle. I'm still teaching, but an opportunity from a former student says, "Hey, Brian, yeah, Tibbs." Jim Tibbetts was his name, and he calls me up and he goes, "You're still doing playing with computers and everything like that?" And I go, "Duh, you apply for this job." I applied for a job, and I got a job at KTZZ TV, which is now the CW, Channel 10, and I started working there on Saturdays doing titles. Here's what my job was. Titles ready. Oh. Okay, I fixed the spelling of the name. Because I spell really badly. It's just one of those things. But now, okay. Don't listen to this next section. Okay. We all know we've been experiencing job creep here, right, over the last, little bit of decade. And, no, you're just kidding, you can listen. This job creep that we've had here has been added things, and it's for the greater good. And I don't ever mind. I've been teaching long enough that I don't have any issue with stuff for the greater good. KTZZ TV. Okay, here's my job creep. I started doing titles and graphics. One day the tape operator was sick. Guess what? I ran the tape operators and did titles and graphics. And then another day the camera operator was out. I ran the camera and ran titles and graphics. And then started doing location shoots and then location edits. And by year 3, I would teach until 4 o'clock and then drive to North Tacoma or Seattle 2 days a week and edit until midnight. And I didn't make any extra money for that. I still only got paid for Saturday, but the extra things that I added to my job was because I had the allure of technology. And there was even one time where I was editing, I fell asleep in the bay, the edit bay. And I remember getting tapped on the shoulder, and I was really happy it was a Friday night because I didn't have to teach on Saturday because I'd have missed my first 2 or 3 periods of class. And I'd get that phone call, okay. When I was in a hair band, I did get a phone call every once in a while from Marilyn Moorhead, Spanaway Lake High School. Brian, are you coming into work today? And I'd be like, what time is it? Your class started 10 minutes ago. Because at that time in the 90s, the technology of television was growing. You did no longer have 6 channels or 7 channels. You had 27 and 37 and 47. You had an explosion in cable TV that said every month there was a new channel. And so what we did is we put a demo reel out and we sent it out. And we got picked up by Fox. And you're looking at a person that said, oh, awesome, we're going to have a TV show. What equipment are we going to use? And who else is going to help me edit it? And the answer is, can't you do it yourself? And, okay, really? Behind you is the most expensive venture in technology that I ever put together. What you see is a television edit bay that's capable of editing a TV show at national cable broadcast quality. There are $18,000 in computers in this room, okay? And more stuff that you don't see. I'd like to point out a few things. There are buttons on that. That tape deck I pointed to, $8,200 just in itself, in this day and age. Now, here's the funny part. That's tape. For those of you that are the younger generation, all right. Tape, Beta SP, which is what was needed. We would put the show together. I'd FedEx it out to Colorado, and it get beamed out over the satellite. And we were airing on Sunday nights at 10:30 on one of Fox's cable channels. We started on one called The Set, then we moved up to FoxNet, and we sat there. We were in 120 different markets around the world. We used to get letters from Okinawa, which is kind of weird. But it was all because of that deck. And that deck lasted a long time. We definitely got my $8,200 worth of use out of it. And the funny thing is when it died, fast forward a few years later, Spud goes, hey, let's start putting some video on the internet. And I go, I don't have anything to play the tape decks. So I bought another one for $175 on eBay. Damn it. That big machine right there, that's called an Amiga. That was at that time a state-of-the-art computer for low-end television creation, and I had a blast. Okay, this is our audio guy Dave, who has occasionally been on my advisory committee. It all depends upon where how busy he's working. That picture up there is my mom. Because my mom was on television. She played a Nielsen family. Her head is down right now. Her standard line was, Spooge, we don't want to watch your show. Okay, which is Spooge, Spunky, Spudley. You never got his name right, it was part of the script. But Mom did pretty good. Dad, on the other hand, was also in my TV show, the TV show. He played, Mom played Pearl Fenton. My dad played, Opal and Pearl. Crap, I don't remember. Henry, that was it, that was Dad's name. My dad's line was like this. You sit there with a gun. Can I shoot him now? And my dad was really good because he was from Arkansas, so he had a southern accent. So the fun thing about working for Fox is that at that time in the 90s, Fox was a fledgling channel. Bill O'Reilly was just starting. There was no Fox News. There might have been a Rupert Murdoch, but it's not at the level of there was no fair balance. It was just like, hey, come and watch us. Okay, you couldn't even get Fox on some places in the state of Washington. They were not on everywhere, and so we had a lot of leniency, and we got a lot of free trips. I got a lot of free trips to LA, and that's when I really learned that one of the fun things about technology is that if you call in sick on the phone line in the Bethel district, nobody called you back. So sometimes I took some days off. Look, our contract says mental relief was a possibility.
Yeah.
So when it comes to this, we lasted 56 episodes in television, and that would never happen in this day and age to last so long. And I don't know if I can move this. Or wait, hey, can I talk in this one? Ooh, look at that. Okay, so let me get the X out, let's escape. Okay, computer not working, I'm okay with that. Okay, looking for the presentation, trying to get the computer to stop working. And, Control Alt Delete works. You ever call the tech support desk and then they tell you, have you tried shutting off your computer yet? And for me, I'm just going to shut down the photos. So the advantage of being in the Fox network is that I got to play with some really, really fun technologies. Nothing to see there. And I will just... There's nothing to see there, seriously. Okay, but I'll just share with you, I don't even know if this will work. This is where we got lucky. So when you are part of a large organization, you get access to people, and I'm just going to go through this a little bit, and I'm just doing this because the wife goes, you should name drop. Okay, that's Adam Arkin, that is Arlo Guthrie, B.B. King. Oh, by the way, B.B. King manager kicked me out of the room. I'm filming, and he goes, okay, you gotta go. Wait, you're taking up too much space. I'm thinking to myself, really? Does BB need to stretch out that much? He had enough room. So, that's Boy George, Chip Carey, Ben Stiller's wife, Christina Dave Winfield, Gary Coleman. Oh, I got Gary Coleman to actually do an intro for the news program for Spanaway Lake High School. He goes, hi, I'm Gary Coleman. This is the news. And I go, can you say from Spanaway Lake? Hi, I'm Gary Coleman. This is the news from Spanaway Lake. Hi, I'm Gary Coleman. This is the news from where? He was stoned out of his gourd. Janine Garofalo, Jason Lee, Jennifer Tilley, Joe Theismann, Lance Hendrickson, Lawrence Fishburne, who I didn't get to go on that shoot because that was a standard one that they flew you to Atlanta to do. Lori Petty, Montel Williams. We filmed Montel Williams in the basement of his hotel because sometimes when you were working in TV, they said, okay, we got like 5 minutes, and here's where you go. So we got Montel Williams in the basement of his TV. Oral Hershiser, one of the things I loved about working in TV is that I got to go to so many games for free. I got spoiled over 3 years. I never paid for a baseball ticket or a football ticket. And it was, this Paul Mooney, one of the great comedy writers of all time, Richard Pryor's writer, if you don't know, Paul Rodriguez, Richard Thompson, one of the greatest guitarists in time. This is in Nordstrom. Okay? If somebody says, we're going to film Robert Guillaume from Benson in Nordstrom, you're like, really? Okay, what should we put in the background? So I was looking for the stupidest thing I could, and I go, let's put the red hat in the background. No other reason. That's Robin Leach. This is Johnny Cash's daughter, Roseanne. That's Selma Hayek, Sean Kemp, Sinbad. That's Bill O'Reilly. Yes, we did have him on the show. He was very nice when the camera was turned on. That's all I have to say about that. Bobcat Goldthwait, Brendan Fraser. Yeah, I said Brandon, sorry. Chuck D from Public Enemy, Cortez Kennedy. There's one of the Baldwins, William. David Marquette, thank you very much. Yeah, you know that one. I sent this to Kate Burrows, because Kate Burrows is Spud's niece. And the last question that Spud asked him is, hey, what's your long-term goals? King, president? And he goes, thank you very much. And he left. Anyway, Donnie Most, Drew Carey, Dr. J. I'm going to stop because Jamie Foxx, because I could, just keep going. And have I dropped enough names? Yeah, that's good enough. Okay, there we go. Yeah, sometimes that's what you just got to do. Okay, so where was I at? I was at Moog. I was at. So the thing is about, and I'm starting to push the envelope on time here because it's 8:48. So I am going to just play something for you because I've been talking for a long time, and it's time to play something for you. When you finish a TV show and you got a wall worth of equipment, what do you do? Okay, well, I was running a video business. I did weddings once in a while. But the group of us stayed together. And so what did we do? Well, we started making film shorts, okay, because we could. And we had enough, there was still enough juice that we could go to Comcast, and Comcast would put our film shorts on the Comcast cable channel. And because of that, I was able to start Pierce TV, which got, for 8 years, thank you, for 8 years ran our student work on local cable TV. Now, Comcast then changed the rules, and we did shift. We spent a year on Click and College Vision, and then they changed the rules again on me. So we're not, we don't have Pierce TV anymore. I miss it. But maybe someday the rules will change back. Who knows? But we did film shorts. Me and the guys from Spud Goodman. How many film shorts did we do? 73. These are not that good. But here is 7 more minutes before we come close to calling it. Oh, well, maybe I won't even play it. Really? What is that? I probably crashed it because I did the last thing. Open with. And Media Player Classic. There we go. Okay. Yeah. Do you get sound? No sound? Dave? No? I could send you guys to the website if it doesn't play. Actually, I probably won't send you to the website because maybe it's the media player. Let's try this one. Nope. Okay, this is Windows 10, so we'll try this. Okay, one of the parts about being technology is nothing rattles me. I will just let you know that. Except for right now, the player is crashed. So I'm going to reboot the computer. Okay. Such as it goes. That's what we do once in a while. You are not going to have to listen to me read the... I'm just going to restart. Okay, back to here. So, where was I at? One of the things about my field is that I have to be prepared for a lot of different things. Right there, computer's not quite running. Right. My dad used to call it, there's people he used to work with, and he used to say, hey, the guy is a jack of all trades or a master of none. Okay? And in the world of technology, you got to be a jack of all trades. These guys in the band, they indulge me because, well, number one, I play sax, guitar, keyboards, harmonica, I sing a little bit, and I'm astonishingly mediocre at all of it. Okay, not even sort of. And mostly I think they put up with me because I own the lights. Okay? Yeah. Anyway, when it comes to tech, I know a lot, and some of it I can even remember, and mostly what I do know is that you can't scattershot when you're doing technology. The important thing is that if you are looking at tech, you need to focus on something. One of the things in our educational world is that we get so much coming at us. And the thing is that I always like to tell people is that you pick a battle. Okay? You can't know everything. It's impossible. Brian Benedetti used to ask me, how do you keep up? And I go, I just read everything and I try stuff all the time. That was in 2002. Okay? There's no way to keep up anymore. It just doesn't happen. And, we know that we design lessons. And when you're designing a lesson for something, you don't include 118 different things in it. Okay? Students will never remember that. If you scattered-shotted something into them and asked them to remember 118 different things at any level of comprehension, number one, they're not going to seize the information. They're just going to seize. It just doesn't happen. And by the way, on a quick science class, what's 118? Yeah, what's 118? Why is that number special to you? Oh, that's one more than 117. Okay. I don't know how many things are in the periodic table now. I don't remember. I don't even know that. Anyway, the thing is that I share with Tom Link a lot about what we do. And here's the comparison, okay? So, and I verified this week to make sure. So one of the things about Tom is that I'll ask him how long he takes to put a lesson together. And he goes half hour to an hour to get the bones of a lesson, sometimes longer, right? Okay, so when I put a lesson together, it's not that short. In fact, when I grade a lesson, it's a half hour to an hour, all right? When Tom grades a lesson, it's 6 hours of paperwork. When I prep a lesson, it's 6 hours at a minimum, usually. And we balance that out because it was like, oh yeah, so now we know. Yeah, Dorian, are you telling your husband how long it takes to prep?
Oh, it's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, he needs to understand that. That's one of those things. So, you know, in our field, a good lesson needs to be honed like crazy. And one of the problems with technology is that it changes so much. We might have a really good lesson one year, but all of a sudden the next year comes around and nothing's working. Okay, and that's just one of those things that happens. You got to be prepared for it, and sometimes that preparation is, you know, you blow up your lesson. Sometimes that preparation is taking and just dumping what you got, or sometimes you're lucky and it's like Adobe moved a button. Okay, they changed the menu option, and you can just find that new menu option all by yourself. Okay. Of course, the other bad thing is when you're teaching online and you have a video recording, like most of my online lessons are. I'm like going like, where did I talk about that button? I'm scanning my file and I'm going like, and then I go cut, cut, and then I do a voiceover. Yeah, normal lesson. Okay, at this point you go to the Windows and then you go to the object and then you go to, and then I'll go Windows object, item number 4. Because I don't like reinventing the wheel, not if I don't have to. Okay. But you know, speaking of reinventing the wheel, let's see, I'm not going to do that. No, I'm dumping at that. You know, one of the things that I believe is totally okay is if you are playing with technology, if you miss a piece of technology, that's not such a bad thing. If you miss the bus, that's not a bad thing. You know, maybe your name is Jack, and you just finished the last episode of Lost. You know, it's okay. Or maybe earlier than that, your name is Bob, and you dreamt you're in a hotel, and you woke up, and Emily goes, "Go back to sleep, Bob." Or earlier than that, you know, how early should I go? Dorothy, and you forgot to click your heels. Things just happen in life. If you miss a bus, nobody's gonna hate you. Oh, wait, younger class, ready? All right. Maybe you're Wade Winston Wilson and you just woke from a chimichanga-induced food coma to discover the zombie apocalypse that happened, but you had the door secured long enough to be able to Google what your item is, all while wearing the brown pants. That's a Deadpool joke. Sorry, nobody's going to get that. My point, though, is it's okay to miss something. So stuff happens all the way. You got to let it slip you by. And that's actually one of the things that bothers me. I get so engaged in what I do that when I miss something, students will tell me, okay? And I love that. I love that sharing. And I'm really looking forward to retiring, so maybe I can try and find out all that stuff I don't know. Because there are pieces that, I don't know, I just miss. Just the important piece is that if you do find that stuff is gone away, never bury your head in the sand. Oh crap, I just put my speech down and I've lost my last page. Okay, so anyway, I am looking on time. It's kind of getting long in the tooth, right? Can I skip the Tacoma Diaries?
Go for it.
7 minutes of your life. Okay, see if it plays.
Do it.
Oh yeah, that's me. Okay. I would like to point out that my brother made me do that. Yeah, you did. You did. You totally did. So, all right. Oh, there's my blimp. Okay. Okay. I don't worry about this. This is Windows 10. By the way, it's I don't have anything against Windows 10 other than the fact that it's just Windows 10. And all right, Dave. Fingers crossed. You're not going to get your 7 minutes of this life back, okay?
sounded like a good idea. That's the best way to begin this thing here. My buddy Mike and I always thought it would be cool to drive around the country in a big freaking RV, you know, maybe take a look at Southern California's beaches, drop by the Grand Canyon, maybe end up in Miami or something. That was the dream. I've always been a big fan of the movie Easy Rider, and since neither Mike or I have a motorcycle endorsement, I figured the motorhome was going to have to do the job. Since we couldn't afford to rent one of those beasts, Mike had a friend who was a lot boy at a dealership in Fife. I guess the guy owed Mike $130, so he gives Mike the keys to one and said no one would miss it for a couple of weeks at least. Outside of fighting to see who was going to get the first shot at the wheel, there didn't seem to be anything that could mess things up. Yeah, I guess I should just start at the beginning. This is how it went down.
Hey, are you ready to have like the most fun in your life you've ever had so far, except for like maybe my third bachelor party?
Oh, I'm ready for the most fun, but I still try to forget that night. I almost got arrested.
No worries, Steve. This time, if the mood moves us, we'll just skip across the border to Tijuana. I hear that at the grocery stores we can get steroids there, and I'm feeling the need to buff up a little bit because, you know, when I'm hitting the bars, all the young guys are like cut, and I'm having a tough time competing because the women, you know, they all like them big guns.
No, thank you. I prefer to travel inside the country if you don't mind.
What? Are you a right-wing isolationist or something, man? It's a big world, and we got this motorhome for like 2 weeks. No fear, Steve.
Let's just hit the road and we can decide this later, okay?
Yeah, you can have the first lane. I got shotgun.
Mike, it's just you and me. You get shotgun by default.
Hey, do you ever feel like a failure in life because like you never became anything important like an astronaut or a fireman?
Yeah, sometimes. I always thought that only total losers were faceless middle managers. No way was I ever going to be irrelevant. But here I am.
Do you have to be relevant before you can be irrelevant? Hey, let's hit Ruston Way. There's always a ton of divorced mothers down there jogging trying to get in shape.
Then what am I supposed to do if you see someone who will actually talk to us, huh? Pull this monster over and park it with all that traffic?
Nah, I'll just invite him inside and we can have a few cocktails. You know, I brought like 25 of those Harley wall bangers in a can. Are we gonna party or what?
Where did you get those? I thought the liquor store stopped selling those in the 70s.
I got a killer deal on a case of them on eBay.
Are you happy, Mike? I've driven Doss Boat up and down Ruston Way 6 times, and no women will even look at us. Can we go now?
Yeah, I guess. I really thought this rig would like catch their eye, you know, especially when I started honking the horn. Hey, it's tough to be invisible when you're on a hot ride like this. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna get on I-5, okay?
Do you think you could drive by my ex-wife's place on the way out? I heard she just like kicked out her boyfriend, you know, the one I was telling you about? I guess he pawned all of her wigs last week. The dude hasn't had a job in like 4 years, and he keeps taking her stuff to the pawn shop to get cash for the casino.
I'm not going by her house, all right? Let's stop at McDonald's and get something before we head out, okay?
Yeah, that's cool. I'll buy. Just don't order anything over $5, okay? I swear I had my wallet with me, man. I must have lost it somewhere.
So how am I supposed to travel all around the country when only I have money?
Well, like, could I pay you back?
Sure, we'll just stop at every plasma center on the way.
Well, maybe we can like scale our travel plans back to like save money. You know, like stay on this side of the Mississippi?
Oh man, look at the gas gauge. It's almost empty. I thought you said you fueled up before you picked it up from your friend.
I forgot. Good thing, Hans, considering without my wallet would have been kind of embarrassing.
Do you know how much it's going to cost to fill this up? I thought we'd at least make it to San Francisco before we needed gas.
So how many gallons does this thing hold?
I don't know, probably 100.
Oh, man. That's like 460, 470 bucks. Even with Safeway's 10-cent discount, that's brutal.
You didn't plan on buying gas on this trip? We need to pull over and come up with plan B, something way cheaper. We are going to have to stay local now.
How local?
Real local.
Well, this is not what I had in mind. I thought we'd at least get to see Malibu or something before we had to come back. The Elks? Jeez.
It's the only place I know of where we can hook up for $15 a night. We can stay here for like years.
Hey, how do the Elks stay in business, man? Cheap booze, cheap food, and cheap RV hookups.
Who knows? Let's go talk to someone and see if they have room for us.
Yeah. Hey, dude, how much would it cost us to hang out here for like 2 weeks?
Just the regular hookup, you know, electricity, waste disposal, maybe cable. How much extra was for that?
Well, it depends.
On what?
Well, if you want the Spice Channel, it's going to cost you. And HBO and Showtime is $1 a day.
Sure, I'll spring for HBO. And you're sure it's okay if we hook up here even if we're not real elves?
I mean, I have an uncle that used to belong here before he went into assisted living. I got his membership card in a box in my garage.
It's all good. Just hook up and leave a couple of bucks under the tire of my rig over there.
Can we use the steam room and the bowling alley too?
Is this the night where they have the all-you-can-eat seafood buffet?
$8.99, all you can eat. Last Friday, I stuffed 6 pounds of prawns and crab cakes in my pockets on the way out, and I didn't have to go to the store for a week.
Can I ask you a question?
Another one?
Yeah. Do you guys still have that secret handshake? You know, I heard it's pretty complicated and it takes about a minute and a half to get through.
If I told you, I would have to terminate you with extreme prejudice. Any other questions, buddy?
No, man, we're good.
Hey, if you need anything else, just give me a holler.
Hey, you don't think he really works here, do you?
What do you think? I'll go up to the office and see if they'll at least let us stay for one night, huh?
Yeah.
We need to get out of here quick. When I didn't know the secret handshake, the security guard got on the walkie-talkie and called for backup. National Guard, I think.
Oh, man, do we need to dump the stuff from our toilet before we split?
Why? I've never even used it.
I might have used it maybe once.
So there's no time. The Humvees will be rolling in any time now. So the trip didn't exactly go the way we planned. But I must say, sometimes you don't have to go any further than your backyard to have a memorable experience. We ended up parking the rig at the Home Depot parking lot for 10 days and had a great time. We ate so many hot dogs and bags of kettle corn that I gained like 12 pounds. Mike told me next year we're going to park at the South Hill Mall. He heard there might be one of those sonic drive-ins going in around there. That's all for now. Later. Oh, jeez. When are you going to get your fat ass out of bed? It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Hey, man, you don't need to be worried about me. And you better not use up all the hot water. I haven't taken a shower in like 4 days.
Yeah, well, it hasn't rained in 4 days either, has it?
You I just got me Mr. Stinky, okay?
Okay, so we're going to leave you with a couple minutes of a song. There are some drums out here, and if you need to stretch, if you need to get up, if you're feeling that you got to, get the guns in gear, you're more than welcome to go out and beat. If nobody plays any drums, it's okay. Nobody's going to hate anybody at all.
I just want to point out that the beer you were holding, Brian, wasn't open. Is that still available since they all seem to be gone now? I'm just kidding.
No, dude, that was in 2008. Oh, sorry, Dave.
Can't take him anywhere. He's in the band because he drives the van.
Wait, I own the band. Oh, no, wait.
We'll be here all week.
So you guys just come up with me, okay? Gary, you want to count us off? Well, you can bang the drum slowly and you can bang the drum loud and you can bang technology's drum, but remember to bang it proud. Just don't bang your head against the wall. One frustration sets you back. 'Cause maybe, just maybe, there's an app for that. And technology flows up and down my veins. I feel like I'm plugged in. I feel like I'm insane. But I never turn my back, 'cause addiction knows that it's true. I got my head up in the clouds with those ever-changing technology moves. All right, Michelle, drum solo. When I'm feeling lost, I just GTCOT. That means Google the crap out of it, though there's options for that C. Well, I love my phone, but sometimes it can be a jerk. I think I already used this joke. Like when Google Maps tells me I'm gonna be late for work. Well, now my song is over, but I know it'll still roll along. I thank you much for listening, and I hope this didn't bomb. Well, the times they are changing, but it's a damn good view. I got my head up in the clouds and those ever-changing technology bloom. Fred. I got my head up in the clouds with those ever-changing technology balloons. Thank you very much. Sorry that we went over time. You want to hear Tim sing? Okay, Tim, take it.
We're gonna make Mr. Martin play some harmonica. My friends, they wash the windows, they shine in the sun. They say wake up early in the morning, sometimes see what a beautiful job we've done. Say put on some tunes and stay a while and do a little all day. Go down to the riverside, take off our shoes and wash those sins away. River singing, sha la la la. Shame on you, oh, they're dancing, sha la la la. Shame on you. You're down to Chicano City Park, and it makes me feel so fine. And when the weeds come down, you can see all the way at the dead of the winter time. When the summer comes, everything's in bloom, and you wouldn't know it's there. Yeah, the white folks like to pretend it's not, but the music's in the air, and the air is singing, sha la la la. Shame on you, oh, they're dancing, sha la la la. Shame on you. My friend Ken, since he says, you know, me and Jesus, we have the same love. The only thing that keeps us different is that I keep messing up. So go down to Chicano City Park and wash the blues away. All the beautiful ladies that walk right by, you know I never know what to say. You know I hear them singing, sha la la la. Shame on you, oh, they're dancing, sha la la la. Shame on you, shame on you. You see a roadblock slipping in the middle of the night, making Gainesville chime. Blue lights slipping down a long dirt road when they asked us to step out. They said we were looking for illegal immigrants. Can we check your car? I said, funny, I thought we were on the same boat back in 1694. When you hear them singing, sha la la la. Shame on you, oh, they're dancing, sha la la la. Shame on you. You can hear them singing, sha la 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 la. Shame on you, oh, sha la la la. Shame on you, shame on you. A big hand for Mr. Brian Martin. The reason we're all here.
Thank you all very much. Have a good night.